Writing is at the core of all education. And Michigan's, commitment, not just to writing and research writing, but to creative writing is long established. That's just in our DNA.
In 1857, President Tappan basically threw the students off the campus. There were no dorms. So we had no dormitories on this campus from 1857 until about 1915. Well, what that meant was there was a lot of self-organized student life. One of the really important pieces of all this on the academic side were literary clubs. This is what led, frankly, to the yearbook and to the daily and these kinds of publications by the students were these student literary societies that really kind of cultivated writing and speaking.
A lot of people have come to the Daily and fallen in love with journalism or fallen in love with activism or particular ideas. Tom Hayden is the first person that comes to mind for me, but a lot of Pulitzer Prize winners, most recently Stephen Henderson at the Detroit Free Press, and so they're definitely very big shoes to fill, but it really gives us a sense, I think, of the weight and importance that we can have both while we're at the Daily and afterwards.
Fred Newton Scott is first professor of rhetoric here. It's really kind of the predecessors of journalism in a lot of ways in writing. And so Fred Newton Scott wrote some very important works about the writing, how you teach students to write. I can imagine having read some of Fred Newton Scott's writings, his textbook on writing, and his principles of what he believed that students needed to be taught and the essence of writing would really inspire Avery Hopwood.
Well, the table that I'm sitting in front of is the very table at which Avery Hopwood sat when he was an undergraduate and studying, among other things, playwriting. It's no longer the case that you can routinely get rich on Broadway, but he succeeded beyond, I think, perhaps even his wildest dreams.
He wanted to write the great American novel. He never was able to publish it in his lifetime. So there's a sense in which, amid all that success, there was also struggle and frustration. And oddly, that's the thing that humanizes him the most as a writer.
At his death, his will acknowledged the University of Michigan and enabled the foundation, or the invention, really then, of this idea of a writing award.
I'm able to go pretty much anywhere in the country and talk about the Hopwood Awards. People who have absolutely no affiliation with the University of Michigan know about the Hopwood Awards.
Here's this really famous guy who himself was a writer, very successful, on Broadway. So what do we want to do with this legacy? And the idea that this should be a prize for student writing, it was really the kind of capstone of a whole long tradition of writing on the campus. And of course, it motivated many famous people, most perhaps Arthur Miller, who writes about it in his autobiography, what a huge effect winning a Hopwood Prize had on his life.
Arthur Miller, came here for that, and he sort of said he'd heard about these Hopwood Awards, and he thought if a university cared that much about writing, it made it necessary to go there.
It's not easy to be a writer in this society. It's not easy to listen to all the voices that are telling you you're never going to make it, it's too hard, there's not enough money in it, who will push on regardless of that. And that's what something like the Hopwood Awards can do for a young writer.
To get that validation from the university, and then also for the awards from outside judges, some of them very important national writers who recognize something in this student's work that indicates talent.
When I received that money and that time to say, they telling me, now you have the opportunity to do what you want, what you are best at. That's really important because it already shaped my life. I guess that's really the most special things that I got from the Hopwood Awards and from the University of Michigan, that now I am a writer and I want to be a writer for life.
A lot of people on our staff value the existence of that award because it gives them some encouragement and support as they consider whether or not they can make a career out of their writing.
Hopwood not merely decided to enable student writing by honoring it and offering prizes for it, but he did particularly stress the new, the unusual, even the radical.
The idea has always been the unusual. It's always been, let's do something that's very different. You want students to think. You want them to do new things. You want them to explore boundaries. You want them, in a lot of ways, to go beyond where you are.
We took that seriously, and we threw the dice, and it was fun. And if you can't throw the dice here, where are you going to throw them? Look at the people who've done that. I mean, Arthur Miller, obviously, Lawrence Kasdan, but the list is thousands of people who've taken this promise seriously.
You always want to push the envelope. And again, that goes to the mission of the university as a change agent.
Michigan's got dozens, if not hundreds, of these, I would call them pocket programs, riddled throughout the university that are these fabulous little gems that a lot of folks don't know about, but those who do revere them and know how special and great they are. Knight Wallace for me is one of those programs. What Knight Wallace does for you is give you 8 months on campus to take any class you want. Override law, medicine, business, you name it, you can do it.
They are great to have in the classroom because what they bring is a wealth of experience.
The promise to the mid-career journalist is the same promise that an undergraduate gets. What are you interested in? Whatever it is, it's right across the street. And somebody with international credentials will actually help you learn it. And that's why so many books have come out of that program.
And we've had fabulous writers come out of the University of Michigan. Novelists, poets, screenwriters. You'll find them throughout society.
Nobody becomes a writer if they don't believe there is somewhere on their bookshelf a gap where their book belongs. There's always that odd element of ego, and you don't want to beat that out of them. That's going to serve them well. You have to believe that you have something to say, something new to say that's not been said.
Made possible by the Stanley and Judith Frankel Family Foundation.